Welcome back to another episode of Be Our Guest here on Musical Theater Radio. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Yovanov. Today's guest is a motivational speaker, an entertaining speaker, and an educator, as well as a best-selling author and creator of musicals, including SssWitch, a Bewitching musical. We've got lots of stuff to talk about today, so let's get on with the show. I'd like to welcome today's guest, Dr. Sue Horowitz, Ph.D. Sue, welcome.
I'm so glad to be here. What a wonderful introduction.
Well, thank you. Now, my first question to you, before we get into anything else, how do you want to be addressed? Do you like to be addressed as Susan or Dr. Sue or just Sue or anything else?
Well, Dr. Sue is my professional name. Okay. My friends call me Sue or Susan or whatever they want to call me. But I kind of like Dr. Sue because people can remember it. And usually when I'm in some kind of group meeting, there's somebody else named Susan. At least it's more likely to be me.
Then Dr. Sue it is. I will use that throughout the interview. So, because most people probably don't know who you are, who are listening, and they want to get to know you better, I always ask my guests for a 30-second bio. So my question is, who is Dr. Sue in 30 seconds?
Dr. Sue is the best of me. I sort of got that idea for this name, Dr. Sue, and I put it on my website and my blog, drsue.com. And then it sort of evolved, and Dr. Sue became this kind of persona who was the wisest, best part of me. And that sometimes when I need advice, I kind of say, Dr. Sue, what would you, if I were to ask Dr. Sue,
yeah.
What would Dr. Sue say? And Dr. Sue could kind of advise me, the Susan, Susie part of me, it's like that sort of child. And, it's interesting because besides writing musicals, I also do a lot of YouTube videos. And some of my YouTube videos have my Tedley bear puppet, Tedley, Teddly. Mm-hmm. And I talk to Tedley, and Tedley has become kind of a puppet, but also kind of a real person. And so I talk back and forth to Tedley, and Tedley's kind of me, but Tedley's kind of this child part. And Dr. Sue is kind of this grown up when we talk to each other. And by the way, sometimes if people are interested, if they want to find my YouTube channel, which sometimes includes Tedley and sometimes does not, depends what we're doing. No. They can go to youtube.com/Dr. Sue Comedian. Because when I first established the YouTube, I was doing a lot of comedy, so I was Dr. Sue Comedian, and then I just kept.
Well, before we get into the musicals and all that stuff, were you always into musical theater growing up, or is that something you discovered a little bit later in life?
I have always loved singing and performing. And I would say that I was into musicals because I like that very melodic style of music. And musicals tend to have an optimistic view of the world. Even the ones that are sad tend to have hope at the end. For example, West Side Story. When they first did West Side Story, one of the things they wrestled with was that it was based on a Shakespearean tragedy. And in the tragedy, the main characters die at the end. Mm-hmm. But in West Side Story, Juliet lives. Because musicals have a basically hopeful, optimistic view of life. And that is the view of life that I like.
All right. So when you were growing up, you obviously, you said you were into singing and musicals and things like that. How did you get into writing musicals when you had all this other background as well? What was the impetus and what were the steps to get to, as we're going to talk about, SssWitch, the Bewitching musical?
Sure. Well, when I first came to New York, which was many years ago, I was part of the BMI Musical Theater Workshop, which was a very prestigious and is a very prestigious musical theater workshop with people out of my class became very famous. Ed Kleban, who wrote Chorus Line, that was my class. Other people in my class became very Maury Yeston, who wrote Tony Award winning 9. He was part of my class. Let's see, who else was part of my class? Alan Menken, who writes all those, the composer for all those Disney musicals, he was in my class. So all these super talented people. And I was in the class as a lyricist because at the time I did not write music. I was just writing lyrics. And I got a bit stuck because my partners were not writing the music and I was just writing the lyrics. And so that didn't move forward. Later on, I started writing music as well as lyrics, basically because I being left high and dry by people who are not doing the music, that was just so frustrating for me. And I wrote with a Tony Award. I wrote actually with 2 Tony Award winning composers. And one of them was Charlie Smalls, who wrote The Wiz. And the other one, he wrote Raisin, and that was Judd Walden. He won a Tony for that. And Judd did something that was very generous, I thought. He said to me, Susan, you're talented with music. You have a great ear for music. Why don't you write music? And I thought that was very generous for a composer to say that to me. And, I certainly not as trained as Judd, who could play piano like a genius and who could write these marvelous music and orchestrate, and God knows what he could do. But he said, you've got an ear for music. Why don't you write music? And I started writing music for my own musicals. And I wrote all the music for SssWitch. I mean, of course, I wrote the lyrics. I mean, there's no, I'm going to write those lyrics. I'm not going to get anyone else to write the lyrics. I'm going to write those lyrics. In fact, when I was working with Judd, I remember going to a Broadway show and looking at that musical on stage and thinking to myself, if I wrote that music, not that music, that lyric, if I wrote that lyric and gave it to Judd, he would give it back to me. That's the way it was. That's really Judd. But he encouraged me to write music. I started writing my own music, and little by little, I was writing music and lyrics, and then I wrote the music for SssWitch.
Was SssWitch your first musical you wrote, or was there another one?
No, it was actually not the first one. The first one is Club of Dreams. That's the one. Well, I'm calling it Club of Dreams now, but it originally had other titles. But I'm not going to say the other titles because it's just so confusing to get so many titles.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and it's actually also on my website, and it's clubofdreams.com. And my website, which is drsue.com, it has all this stuff on it. And so I wrote that, and then I wrote SssWitch, and SssWitch probably had some earlier titles as well. But SssWitch, SssWitch.net, which is the one that you are featuring on musical theater.
Yes.
Radio, musical theater, radio.com. You see how I keep repeating? That's me, because if I want to remember something, just repeat it and repeat it, So you're featuring 4 songs on this musical theater. And by the way, I have to thank you. I really have to thank you, because your willingness to feature my songs on musical theater radio was greatly encouraging to me. It really boosted my motivation and morale, and your willingness to give people this kind of opportunity is very important.
You're welcome. I'm glad I'm able to help people. There's a lot of stations out there and opportunity like Spotify, etc., to get your music out there. But I think it's sometimes nice and motivational when somebody comes along and says, you know what, I want to help you. And it reminds you, I think, that, all that work you did, because, you do it, you work, and then sometimes you forget how much work it is or how good it is until somebody just comes and say, hey, what's this? And then you rediscover it just as they're discovering it as well. So it's my pleasure to give you a hand and help.
Yeah, and it's really important. It's very important because people really do work hard.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
And there's a lot of self-doubt, and people work hard. And when I see an opportunity, and you give that opportunity. And so I said, well, okay, I've got this musical, I've got these songs, if I can record them and get a professional sound and make it sound good and send it in, he will actually feature it. I will not feel that I'm working for nothing. Mm-hmm. He will really do it. And that motivated me a lot.
Wow. Well, thank you. And congratulations on the show and being reinvigorated. It's so exciting when you hear somebody gets that passion back again. Because, as I said, over time, sometimes you lose a little bit of it and you just need that spark. So let's talk about SssWitch, a Bewitching musical. Tell us the synopsis and the plot of the show.
Well, SssWitch, it's they're kind of a double female protagonist. Cindy, who's a teenage designer, and Ella, who is a mature witch. So it's Cindy, Ella, and together they make Cinderella. Okay. And Cindy is a modern type of Cinderella. She's a teen designer. She's very poor. She wants to get a scholarship for a design school, a fashion scholarship. But she also wants to be a prom queen, and she's socially awkward, and it's very unlikely that she'll even get asked to the prom, let alone be the queen. So she is secretly doing all the homework for the basketball captain, who's getting her to do all of his work and kind of implying that he's going to take her to the prom. And the night before her scholarship is due, he gets her, he kind of bullies or nudges or tricks or whatever you want to call it, her into doing some more homework for him. But it's actually not even for him. It's for his secret girlfriend. And so it's a show about dreams and about manipulation and bullying. So it's a cross between Cinderella and Faust, and about bargaining with the devil. And whenever you bargain with a devil, even if the devil doesn't look like a devil, and of course it's much more interesting if the devil does not look like a devil, then you get something you want, but you're compromising something that's really important to you. It's a trick. So she starts to get what she wants, which is she gets secret magic basketball powers. She starts to get very popular, but she's in danger of losing her own real self, her own authenticity. And then she has to make a decision about what she will sell out for the sake of fame, fortune, and public approval.
What was the impetus for writing this show in the first place?
Well, I'll tell you, it's actually a very interesting story. I have been a teacher for many, many years, a professor. And I was in class one day teaching, and I was trying to teach this idea of, poetic techniques. And one of the poetic techniques I was trying to teach was hyperbole, exaggeration. So I said to the class, it's like I was talking to someone and said about basketball, and I was saying something like, jump. You couldn't even jump over a piece of paper. And of course, that's an exaggeration because he probably could jump over a piece of paper. And I thought that's really kind of interesting. And then I was teaching irony, contradiction. And I gave him an example. I said, now you have to understand that I am about 5'2". And I am what they call a, quote, mature woman. Okay. And so I said to the class, I said, that's, it's kind of like saying someone like me could be a basketball superstar. And we all kind of laughed. And then I went home and I thought, you know what? That's a really interesting idea. Someone like me, who really has no ability in basketball and is short, becoming somehow a basketball superstar. I said, that's really kind of interesting. And I think that was the little seed that planted in my brain to write my musical Switch. And Switch is SssWitch, because the witch pulls a switch. He's always tricking you, twists your wish and pulls a switch and gives you something you didn't quite ask for, but you got it now.
So how long ago did you start writing this? And I'd love to know, the incarnations it's gone through since that beginning.
Well, sure. I originally wrote it as a play, not a musical. I wrote it as, a straight play. And we did a workshop as a straight play. And we did a workshop in a studio in New York City. We did that, and I made a video, because I always like to make videos. I mean, I love to make video. I like to make podcasts because it's recording. I like to record things because then you have them. They live forever. You can use them for different stuff, So we did it as a straight play. And then I went to a party. It was a theater party. And I met this guy who was an assistant to a producer. And he was a young guy, and I thought he was a very smart guy. And he said, I'd love to see your script. And I sent it to him. And he said, I like it, but it should really be a musical. And I thought, he's right. Yeah. Because it has these colorful characters, magical elements. It really kind of feels like a musical. I mean, I still have this play script without the songs. I'm sure I have it somewhere, or I could, write it, But I turned it into a musical, and then all that, all the magic and the colorful characters and all that in it. I thought, that's right. It really is a musical. It feels like a musical. So that's the origin.
So once you got it and turned it into a musical, you said you did a reading of it. How did that go?
The reading went very well. I thought it went very well. The audience liked it. There were laughs. I could also see, when you do a reading, which is a really good idea, you can see where the laughs are. You can see where people think it's funny or entertaining. And you can also see where it seems to drag a little or be a little slow. Mm-hmm. So then, to cut that. In fact, I did that. I also did that for the musical. When it was a musical, I did a reading. We did a staged reading in a church in New York City also. And I could see the same thing. And then I also saw, you learn a lot from doing these stage readings. I mean, I could see where it really worked. I could see where it dragged a little. Mm-hmm. And I could also see, I had two characters, two professional basketball players. And those are parts that are very hard to cast.
Yes.
One of them was not as central to the storyline. So I thought, if I cut one of those characters and have him not show up, and that's part of what he does. He doesn't keep his word. He doesn't show up, and have the people complain about him, then I have eliminated a big problem for myself. I have one professional basketball player. And then, of course, I have teenage basketball players, but that's easier to cast. Yes. But now I have one professional basketball player. I have just eliminated a big problem for myself. And he's funny. The fact that he doesn't show up, it's funny. There he goes again, not showing up. And I also found that certain things that were hard to stage or dragged a little bit, I could have a narrator handle them. So the narrator could say it, and whoop, we're there all of a sudden. There we are, moves much faster. Yeah. So you see where you might have a problem, and then, if you pay attention, you can think, maybe there's a way to fix it. And there is.
So where is Switch living now? You've done the reading. Has there been a full production, or where's it going right now?
There has not yet been a full production, because we did the reading in the spring of 2019. And then, as you may know, everything's stopped 2020. Yep. So I did look for a full production because everything is stopping. Who knows when the theaters will be open again? I need to take a pause from that and do some other stuff. So now, of course, I'm looking for a full production. I think it would be a wonderful show. It's a family audience musical. It's fun. It's youthful. I think it would be great if it would be produced as, by a theater that was looking for this fun, youthful, magical kind of show. I'd love that.
Very nice. So speaking of the pandemic, did you work on anything else during that time, when you just had a little bit more free time, being at home the entire time?
Yeah, I became totally obsessed with making videos.
Okay.
I started making these, little, because, the pandemic, the social isolation. Mm-hmm. And I live fortunately near a park. So I'd go into the park whenever I could, and I would just take pictures and I'd shoot little videos. I shot one little video of me interviewing a dog. That was popular. And you could hear the people laughing in the background as I interviewed the dog, and the dog just goes woof woof. The dog doesn't talk. But I interviewed this dog, so I did that, and then I got the idea of doing a song video, and I wrote a song called "Wear a Mask, Show You Care," and I sing the song. I play my little mini keyboard, and I sing the song as the soundtrack, and then over that, I shot videos relating to this subject of wear a mask, show you care. And I tried to make it very ethnically diverse, with the concepts in the song, which is wearing a mask, washing your hands, and keeping social distance. I used mainly real live video footage, and also I used some pictures. Like for the keep a distance there, I was dancing with a security guard in the park. And I also had this elderly Chinese couple playing ping pong. And then I had my former student who became a nurse. She's a picture of her in her nurse's uniform and her protective gear, and I walking around with my Teddy Bear puppet in the park. And underneath is my song, which I'm singing, which is Wear a Mask, Show You Care. And how many views I have so far on that little video? I have more than 9,000 views.
Wow.
I'm heading my milestone. I'm going to get 10,000 views because it's just taken off by itself.
Very nice. Congratulations on that.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. So now that the pandemic is kind of wrapping up, at least we can see a light at the end of the tunnel. It might still be a bit farther away, but we're heading that way. Do you have anything else in works that you'd love for us to know about?
I would love for you to know about, because as I say, I'm becoming obsessed with. I have this YouTube channel,
yes,
which I'm again youtube.com/Dr. Sue Comedian, and I started putting up Dr. Sue New Word. Dr. Sue's one word, DRSUE, and then new word. And then these are 1 minute videos. And I have my original jingle song, which plays, and then the logo plays. And I've got 16 seconds set aside for that. And then the rest of it, I have something with a new word, and everyone has a new word. Like I have new word chance. And that's with this teenager. He's doing this little motivational talk, and then he shoots a basket. He actually shot a basket, a far point shot, which was amazing because you never know if someone's going to really shoot that basket.
Yeah.
But he really did. He really did. And now I have a motivational. He's talking about this ball symbolizes opportunities in life. I was amazed. I didn't tell him to say that. Wow. I told him your own words, say what you like. And I thought maybe he'd pick basketball, but he didn't. He picked chance. He said, chance. I said, okay, do chance. And he did that. He said, my word is chance, and this symbolizes your opportunities in life, but you have to take that chance. He just did this. And then he shot the basket. It was amazing. And then others. So I did Dr. Sue New Word, Dr. Sue, and then New Word. I did Chance. I did Light. I shot it in the American Museum of Natural History, and it's this kind of art, science, dance, musical video, 1 minute. I did what? Oh, I did Pride. Pride, of course, Dr. Sue New Word, Pride. And then I interviewed Gotham Cheer. There's these, they're like rainbow pride and they're cheering. And I interviewed them in the park and I put up this 1 minute video.
Now, that kid that shot the basket, can he also sing? Because you might have a star
Yes,
for the music.
he told me he could sing. Because I got very interested in him. I said, can you sing? He said, yeah. And you know what? I believe him.
That's hilarious.
Because if he could shoot that basket, I believe he can sing.
That's hilarious.
Great star in my musical, because I'll tell you, he's a very funky, charming, well-spoken young man. And he's a high school senior. He's wearing a t-shirt that says senior. And he was so articulate. I never imagined he'd be that articulate, to get up and give a speech on the spot. I mean, wow. And when he says he can sing, I believe him. And I'd like to cast him. And he is, oh, by the way, he's African-American. And we were both so upfront with each other. We were so relaxed with each other. Because I asked him if I could do the video. And then he had for a video. He said, I need a white lady. So I said, well, I'm a white lady. Right to the point. We didn't futz around. None of this. I need a white lady. I said, well, I'm a white lady. You could use me. What do you need? So, and yeah, I'd love to cast him. I mean, he's cute. He's a high school senior. He's cute. He makes all these cute, funny expressions. He can shoot a basketball, for God's sake. When he says he can sing, I believe he can sing. I mean, of course, I will audition people
For sure.
but I'd like to have someone there who looks, like a fresh look. That would be nice.
And it seems you had some kind of connection, right? And that makes the biggest difference, right?
We have some kind of connection, I'm out there in the park shooting videos and he's up for it. He's up for it.
That is very cool. Dr. Sue, thank you so much for coming on today and telling us a little bit about the show, SssWitch, and everything else you've been doing. And how do people, what's your website again, so people can learn more about you and check out all the things you do? Because, we don't have enough time to touch on everything because you do so much. So what's your website again?
Okay. My website, www.drsue.com.
Perfect. That's pretty simple. Nice and easy to find and remember. And we'll share it in our social medias and everything like that for people as well. So now, before we go, I always ask 3 questions of my guests. Now, there's no right or wrong answer, but we'd get to know you a little bit better. And the final answer might, we might judge you on you a little bit, but that's okay. So my first question: what creator or team within musical theater has had a great influence on you? Now, you've obviously met a lot of people, but it could be a composer, a lyricist, director, producer, actor, stage manager even. Could be somebody famous or not famous, like a teacher. Is there anybody in the musical theater world that's had a good influence on you?
Well, let me say right off the bat, of course, the composers that I worked with had a big influence on me. I mean, these guys, they won Tonys. They were really good.
Yeah.
And expected me to write up to a standard, and I like that. I like the challenge of trying to meet a standard. I like it. It's a little hard, but it makes life more interesting. And then I'd certainly like to credit Alan Menken, who writes a lot of the music for the Disney musicals, and Stephen Schwartz, who also writes for the Disney, but he, of course, he's famous for Wicked.
Yeah.
Okay, about a witch. And I really like their music. In fact, I was trying to write a song once, And when I write a song, I like to listen to music that kind of gets me in the mood. I don't copy the music, but it gives me a feeling that it gets me in the mood. And I was listening to this and that and the other, and nothing was working. Mm-hmm. And then I listened to some of that Stephen Schwartz music, and then it was like, oh, I get it. I can hear it. I can get it. I understand this type of music. Or Alan Menken, I understand this type of music. I get it, you know. I don't copy the music, but I get it. Whereas some kind of music, it may be okay, but I don't really get it. I can't write in that style. I don't feel it. But this type of music, I feel it, and I can write in that style.
Very nice. Correct answer. So 1 point.
So nice to be correct.
All right. So question number 2. Now you write books and plays and musicals and do speaking engagements and a little bit of everything. Now, of all the things you do, which one comes most naturally to you and which one takes a little more focus and work?
Oh, wow. The most natural thing to me is singing and writing. That's what's really natural to me. I love that. I love singing and writing. That's what I love. What takes more work? Well, tech stuff always takes more work. You know,
Yeah.
There's always that learning curve, figuring out how to do something.
Yeah.
That takes more work. When you start doing it, it takes more work, and it's hard. But then once you do it, you know, once you get kind of that format down, it's much easier.
Very true. Very true. So another point, correct answer. So, all right. And final question, number 3, that's going to reveal maybe the most about you.
Ooh.
Food in the theater or cell phones in the theater? Which is worse?
Which is worse? I suppose cell phones, because they're louder. I mean, someone could be on stage performing and suddenly someone's cell phone rings.
Yeah.
And then some people actually, they start talking on that cell phone loudly during the performance. I mean, that's the worst. Yeah. Don't you think? I think so. I mean, if you're careless, the phone can ring. I mean, it can happen. It can happen to anyone, you know. But if you answer it and you start talking, hey, hello.
I don't understand people when they do that. Like, look around you. Like, little consideration, people. So,
yeah.
Oh well. I would have also accepted they're both terrible. So, but you did give the correct answer as well. So cell phones are terrible. Yes. Dr. Sue, thank you again so much for coming on today and introducing people to your musical and all the other things you do. And people are going to have to check out now your YouTube channel and see these new words and all the other stuff and learn about what is the dog's name again?
Not a dog. It's a Tedley bear.
Tedley bear. My
Tedly. And Tedley is my own name, and it's a teddy bear pup. And working with Tedley, you know, Tedley has his own life, his own personality. Tedley said, and Tedley has his own voice. Hello, I'm Tedley, and I'm the star. You know,
and I've already messed up my relationship with Tedley, obviously, by calling him a dog. So I apologize, Tedley, for that. I'm looking at Tedley right now.
I have a dog puppet too, but I decided better to use Tedley for everything, because then Tedley becomes, you know, he just, and in Tedley's mind,
yeah,
to do anything. So he keeps popping up. Like, I was thinking, I have, besides SssWitch, I also did a mini musical, which is also on YouTube, called Cinderella and the Three Bear Witches. And basically what it is it's I open with singing half a line of When You Wish Upon a Star. And then Tedley comes in and goes, excuse me, I'm the star. And the whole show is about Tedley trying to get into the show and play all the parts. And this is an 8-minute video, and I want to do a series, mini musicals with Dr. Sue and Tedley based on these famous fairy tale musicals. My next one that I'm planning is Aladdin, the mini musical, where Tedley will try to jump in and play all the characters in Aladdin. So I'm thinking I could do a whole series of short mini musicals based on the big famous ones. And I think that would be great.
Well, we're going to have to watch for that. So everyone who's listening, go check that out on YouTube, because you might be ready for the next one. You have a sneak preview, maybe.
Yes, go watch Cinderella and the Three Bear Witches.
Awesome. Thank you again, Dr. Sue, for coming on and introducing us to all this stuff. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. You are great to talk to.
We were just speaking with Dr. Sue Horowitz, the creator of the musical SssWitch, a bewitching musical, and all the other things on YouTube that she's done. Tune in next week as we'll speak with another guest or guests about their life, love, and passion that is musical theater. I am your host, as always, Jean-Paul Jovanov. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.